Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Burundi. Since I believe it was either 1969 or I think it was actually 1979. That was the last time that the Buffalo Sabres hired a general manager who was not a brand new general manager. Since then, every GM has been brand new at that being his job. Until today. They fired general manager Kevin Adams, and Jarmo Kekalainen is officially being named as his replacement in Buffalo. Let's jump right in. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I didn't know that stat existed. That's pretty wild to
Scotty
think
Bowman
of.
Was that GM, by the way. The last guy they hired with any prior general manager experience.
I mean, I'll pull up the thing here. So it needed to be done, right? So, and obviously Buffalo needed to make a change, right? Things weren't going the way this season that they wanted. It's just been kind of a disaster there. And, when people talk about the Buffalo Sabres a lot, Terry Pegula, their owner, kind of gets a lot of heat for it. And now I've got some stats here. So this is updated now. Since Terry Pegula bought the team in February of 2011, they've had 5 general managers. They've gone through 8 head coaches, and that includes Lindy Ruff twice. 28 goalies with 1 game played or more. They've gone through 7 captains, 2 first overall picks. They have a second overall pick in there as well.
7 captains in 14 years is diabolical.
And to cap it all off, you guessed it, 0 playoff appearances. So it has not been a good go for Buffalo for the last while.
For the Pegula era, the entire thing. Really.
And this is a change that needed to be made. I think Kevin Adams has did some good things there while in Buffalo, but also some bad things. And at the end of the day, a change needed to be made. You can't keep running it back in the same spot in the same way that they have been. So I can't say whether or not it's good or bad that they brought Kekalainen in, because I'm still kind of up in the air on him as a general manager. But I mean, this is as good of a test as any to see what can he do, and can he cement himself because realistically, when you think about it, the general manager and coach that are there when Buffalo gets back into the playoffs are going to be remembered forever, because they found a way to get this team out.
Nobody else can.
So this is a big moment for Kekalainen to prove can he do it, or is it too big of a task for him? I'm very curious to see, but
it's so hard to tell.
It's good for
this
Buffalo,
team,
though, I'd still say.
If I, and this is completely hypothetical, obviously. If at the start of this season, something happened where they just this had to happen, a 7th round pick from Columbus goes to Edmonton and they send back Connor McDavid. Does Columbus make the playoffs? Yes or no? Yeah. Pretty easy, right? Same thing happens with Buffalo this season. Do they make the playoffs? It's a probably. It's a probably for me. I feel like any other team, you'd say, yeah, no shit. I feel like there's an asterisk because it's Buffalo. Because a meteor will hit the ice through the arena while he's on a breakaway and knock the puck back into his net, shattering it into 10 pieces, counting his 10 goals, and they'll miss the playoffs. This team seems so cursed in the entire time this guy's owned the team that, nothing is certain there. They're currently on a 3-game win streak. They're still last in the division, despite that. But they are only 1 point back of the Maple Leafs at this point. Man, I don't know how to feel on Jarmo Kekalainen.
That's where I'm at, really.
I did not mind a lot of the moves he made in Columbus. I really didn't. In fact, I kind of liked a lot of them, but there's people that are smarter than me at this stuff, and quite a few of them that all did not really like his tenure there. I don't
Mhm.
exactly know what it was, but there's been enough people I know that dislike him there that I feel like I just don't have the full story yet. So like I'm
Yeah.
a little bit higher on this than most people seem to be, but well, most people are fairly high on it just because it's a new GM in Buffalo. It's getting rid of Kevin Adams. He hasn't,
Mhm.
you know, he's had some decent trades. The people thought the Paterka one, like when they heard Paterka was going out, it would be pretty bad. It's actually not a bad looking trade. And you
Hey,
were one of the
hey,
first people to say it.
I
You
was,
were
I
one of the
was, I
first
was
people to say
pretty,
it.
pretty big on it for Buffalo, and it's that deal's actually looking, and the thing is for Buffalo's, it doesn't matter what Paterka does; it matters what happens in Buffalo. I think that's kind of the mindset Buffalo needs to have because
That's what
everybody's
winning teams
so
need to do.
locked in on being like, oh man, look at what Jack Eichel's doing. We could have had look at Sam Reinhart and all this, and now look at Paterka. It's like you can't focus on those things. I know like they're tough and it's tough to see that and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you need to focus on what you have. And we haven't seen much of
Yeah.
Kessering this season, but Josh Doan is looking incredible for Buffalo, and he was kind of the extra piece. It was kind of like the big piece was Kessler going to Buffalo, and Josh
Yeah.
Doan is just absolutely incredible for them. And so that's kind of the one thing I will say about Kevin Adams when he goes is he did I think do a good job on that trade. Because again, not talking about what Paterka's doing. If Paterka goes out and puts up 100 points,
Eh,
sure, whatever. Because at the end of the day, he
It's
wasn't
not
going to be in
about
Buffalo
that.
regardless. So
Yeah. It's about what Paterka was doing for you. You know what? If
yeah,
he turns into a 100-point player there's no guarantee he was going to be that for you.
I could
Like,
tell you he wouldn't in Buffalo.
no. But yeah, it's one of those things you just have to look at what you have and does it work out for you? And right now, so far it has. So
And I think Buffalo's got a good team in place. They've already got good building pieces that you build around, and they still have a lot of good
we've said that
prospects
for
that
2-3
haven't.
years now. Like
Yeah,
the success just isn't following where it feels like elsewhere this same roster probably would be. Like it feels like this team would have 5 more wins if they were playing in Anaheim. Like
yeah,
couldn't explain
hundred
why, but
percent.
everyone seems to agree that that's the vibe. And I want to ask you, do you think, because right now Lindy Ruff is their head coach, right?
I was just about to get into this. Yeah,
Do you think he finishes out the season as the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres?
it's really tough to say because whenever you see a new general manager come in, a lot of the times they want to bring in their own head coach. They want to go through the
Yeah.
process of finding their guy, or in some cases, and usually it doesn't work out pretty well. They want to, they go out and they get their buddy that they know that they've already been with. And it's like
Yeah.
if you were both on a team before together, you've both been fired, and now you're joining up together. It's probably not going to go well.
You need different voices in a locker room. You can't have an
Yeah,
echo chamber. That's how
yeah,
it
you can't
it
take the
doesn't isn't
same
helpful.
the same system and values and everything that you built up on one team and it didn't work obviously because you both got fired and be like, all right, now we're just going to run it to another team and try it again because it's not going to work, especially in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I kind of think it's you just see how it goes for the next bit with Lindy Ruff. Again, at the end of the day, I think Buffalo needs to go in a different direction with the head coach. I don't think Lindy Ruff's necessarily a bad coach. Um, but I think the game has kind of passed them by a bit at this point now. And
Yeah.
and Buffalo needs something completely new. They need something fresh. And so I think it's a kind of a trial run, and it's if Buffalo goes on a bit of a heater, then then it stays. But if they keep staying at the bottom of the Atlantic, Keck Line is going to be, I think, pretty quick to be like, we got to make a change because he wants to see immediate success. He wants to see results and not join the Sabres and then be like, oh, we finished bottom 6 in the league. We don't get the first overall pick. We get another 6,
Yeah.
7, 8th overall pick.
Buffalo is at the point where if they do finish low and get that pick, they should not be using it. Because the last thing you want is a good player that'll be good in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case, send it to Calgary for the best player you can get from them. Send it to Vancouver for the best player you can get from them. One of those teams that would want that draft pick and try and get a player who will be good now. Because yeah, You got to start winning at some point, and you shouldn't be planning for in a couple of years.
Absolutely. Or, even, and I don't know if something like this would necessarily happen, but even throw offers out there, even if you don't think there's anything there, you never know. You go look at a team like Anaheim, and hey, we'll offer you the 6th or 7th, 8th overall pick for maybe a guy that's already kind of maybe a little bit established on their team. Who would that be? I don't quite know. My mind immediately went to Mason McTavish, but he signed his extension. He's locked in. But Chicago, maybe Chicago is willing to trade Frank Nazar and his extension. That looks like it's going to be pretty good for 7th overall pick. Maybe you can buy William Eklund out of San Jose for the 6th overall pick or something. Like, maybe you look at those teams that are still kind of in the rebuild process and be like, hey, you know what? You're kind of high on this player. They're probably going to be good, but if there's someone you like at that spot, because again, there's no guarantee they accept it. But if there's a player that, San Jose and Chicago, the way they go, if they're picking in that, 12, 13, 14 range or something, they're like, fuck, if we can get one of those guys that we really like at 6 or something, they might do it. And I think that's a win for Buffalo, because you get a good young established player that's under your control and can immediately step in and help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if somebody reached out to Steve Yzerman with the crazy assumption and said, hey, I will take on Jake Wallman and you'll also give me a 3rd for future considerations, he would have sounded like a madman. Yzerman would have done it so fast. He was willing to pay a 2nd. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You never know what these other GMs are thinking, so you might as well shoot your shot. And one guy that I can't, just over the past few months, I have not been able to shake the feeling that this guy, I don't know if the coach would want to go to Buffalo, but I feel like he's one of those coaches that would get enough out of Buffalo to maybe drag him into the playoffs. And his spot is looking a lot less secure than it was not too long ago. Over in Toronto. What's his
Craig Berube?
Craig Berube.
Yeah.
Craig Berube feels like a great fit for a team like Buffalo. They have a lot of those kind of already bit more defensively minded players, and if he gets fired out of Toronto, because they are much further down than they would like to be at this point. They're 14, 12, and 5. They're second, like I said, they're second last in the Atlantic, only one above the Sabres. If he gets fired, that you got to be looking at that as like that's a clear upgrade over
absolutely
Lindy Ruff
and
again.
Yeah, because again, this is Lindy Ruff's second tenure with the team, right? It's not like it's his first go. The last thing I'll say before we kind of move on from the stuff with Buffalo here is, when it comes to just putting stuff out there and just seeing what's out there, you could be a GM that kind of sits there and sits on your hands and be like, oh, it'll never work. Like, there's no way we could pull it off. We're going to dive into it more later on the episode here. And if you want to hear the full breakdown of it, it's over on the YouTube already. But the Quinn Hughes trade.
Yeah.
I was watching a clip from an interview that Bill Guerin was doing earlier today, and they made the deal on Friday. He didn't really think about going after Quinn Hughes or the possibility of getting him until the Monday before. So he thought of it on the Monday, and by Friday he pulled off a trade to get the second best defenseman in the league. Like, it's like, but if you sat there, like, oh, there's no way we can do it. Like,
what were we saying on the podcast 1 or 2 episodes before that happened? We were sitting here going, how many people should be calling the Vancouver Canucks about Quinn Hughes? And we said 31 other general managers, because who can't use a 26-year-old Norris winning defenseman who is already the Canucks franchise point leader from the blue line? Like,
exactly.
Locked up for 2 more years at an insanely reasonable cap hit. Like, no trade protection, so he can be traded to your team no matter what. Like, everyone should have been in on him. And Bill Guerin, he did his due diligence. He was like,
he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and get in there. And that's something you need out of a GM. You need a GM that isn't scared to just see what's out there, put out feelers and, mix it around a bit with other teams. But GMs that kind of sit back and wait for stuff to roll in, usually doesn't work the best for them. You look at the best
Yeah.
GMs in the league, and it's all guys that are hands-on, and it's 24/7 for them. It's 365. It's they're in on everything. People shit on Florida and Vegas because like fuck, they're in on everybody. They can't just leave other teams to battle it out. They always got to be involved. Well, look at all the success they're having right now and over the past how many years because they're always involved.
If it makes your team
And that's
better,
what you
why
need.
wouldn't you? Why would you not be considering that? Because it's not
Exactly,
your
right?
turn to pick up a good player.
Yeah.
What?
It's exactly
Like, yeah. So
100%. But we'll
yeah,
see what happens with Buffalo. Obviously, a lot of fans are excited about this and optimistic, as I think they should
yeah,
be. And we're always on the Buffalo bandwagon. We're always rooting for them to get over the hump and get back to the playoffs. And hopefully, this is the start of something special that they might be building up there in
yeah,
Buffalo.
yeah. Absolutely.
But we can move on from the Buffalo Sabres. We can move over to the NHL's 3 stars of the week for this past week over what's been a wild week, and we still got a lot more to recap. But Braden, do you want to hit us with the 3 stars of the week?
Yes, sir. We got the first star of the week. And again, these are the NHL 3 stars of the week. These aren't our personal ones.
Yeah.
Number one of the week, if you had to close your eyes and take a random guess, you probably got it. It's Connor McDavid. Number two,
Four games played, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points.
that's the guy we were looking for.
That's the McDavid we've been waiting to see.
When we were 13 games into the season or whatever, and he still had like 1 or 2 goals and only assists, like we were wondering where he is. That's the guy we're looking for.
Yeah.
Number two, John Gibson on the Detroit Red Wings. I think he's still on the Red Wings.
3-0 record, a 1.0 goals against, a 971 save percentage, 2 shutouts.
Didn't know he had 2 shutouts. Wow.
Yeah, it's first time hearing of it, but I thought Talbot had one of them, so good on Gibson.
Damn. Whoever had him in fantasy that week was eaten. And the third star of the week was Joel Eriksson Ek.
4 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points.
And no doubt, I imagine some pretty good defensive play accompanying that as well, as Eriksson Ek is known to do. A guy who he's one of those guys that's really going to benefit from Quinn Hughes being on the team now. I think his numbers are going to see a nice boost, especially on that power play.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you could say that for a lot of guys, but yeah, Eriksson Ek definitely is one of the guys that'll benefit the most because he'll get near the most playing time with Quinn Hughes.
Yeah. But
that's NHL's 3 stars of the week.
Stars.
Again, they're the NHL's. They're not our own, so don't blame us. Where do you want to move on to next here? We got a bunch of stuff, so just take your pick.
Let's talk about the Penguins.
Let's talk about the Penguins. We got a couple things. So, which side of the Penguins do we want to start with? I guess.
Well, I guess we can let you start with the first game, the rough game they had over the past few days, because it involved your San Jose Sharks.
It did. Yeah, it was a rough weekend for the Penguins, specifically the Saturday and the Sunday. Back-to-back days, back-to-back games at home for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
At home.
Saturday, they had a 4-goal lead at one point, just a little bit into the third period. Again, a 4-goal lead. They're up 5-1. You think they won the game? No, they didn't. They lost to San Jose 6-5 in overtime. Shout out to Randy Hahn as well, Sharks play-by-play announcer.
So good.
Excitement and energy he brought for each Sharks goal, just the intensity just increased more and more. And for a guy that spent the last 5 years watching dog shit San Jose teams, it was a pretty good moment for him, and very cool to witness that and be a part of that. And so
incredible call on that overtime goal too. Like, man,
incredible.
I watch clips like that, and I'm like, how do some of these play-by-play guys sleep at night knowing there's guys giving it all? They're all like that, and then there's other guys, and it's just 90% of the time and he scores. It's in the back of the net. There it is.
Yeah.
Now it's 2-1. Cool.
Yeah.
Wonder what's for dinner. Like some of these guys sound so disinterested. That guy
That's where you
is.
can tell the
I can
difference between
hear
a
that
guy
he's
that,
sweating making the call. I can hear that
yeah.
he's exerting himself for it, and he's
And that's
passionate.
when you can tell the difference between guys that it's like you can tell it's like, okay, it's their job, right? But then you get guys like Randy Hahn, you're like, this is a guy that it's not only his job, but he's actually doing it for his favorite team
Yeah,
type of thing. Like a
100%.
team that he's an active fan of.
He doesn't wake up and think I have to go to work. He wakes up and thinks I get to go to work.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly it.
such an infectious feeling that jumps right through the TV. That's why I love Dave Mishkin for the Lightning. He was on TV for a while, and now for the past several years he's been doing their radio. And every time you score it 0-0 game, somebody scores 10 minutes in for the Lightning. This guy's yelling. It sounds like his vocal cords are going out. There's no way he'll make
Yeah,
it to the end of the game. Like
yeah,
that energy is so infectious, and all the best commentators do that.
absolutely, yeah. And the worst part I think for Penguins fans is part of that loss to San Jose. Was obviously the overtime winner, but it's the way that it happened. And John Klingberg looking like 2015 Klingberg out there.
Oh man.
Ruins Crosby
He
entering the
dog
zone.
Sid.
Dog walks Sidney Crosby and does a nice little give and go with Celebrini. And Klingberg gets the overtime winner there. I know, were a big fan of Celebrini's game, of what he did, especially just in that third period and in the overtime. So I'll let you throw in your thoughts there that you had that you sent to me after the game.
Yeah. How many points did he have in the comeback? Because I know he obviously had a primary assist
3.
on the winning goal.
I think he ended up with 3.
So they're down 5-1. I don't know what the score was at the time this incident happened, but Parker.
I believe it was 4-1 at the time.
4-1.
It ended up being 5-1, but
Parker Wotherspoon of the Penguins hit Will Smith, Celebrini, the milk to his cookies, into the boards. It wasn't like super dirty or anything, but it was a hard hit. I think maybe it was a little bit from the side to behind, but it wasn't.
I can say honestly, as a very biased Sharks fan, I don't think it was a dirty hit. I think it was just a very hard hit that resulted in an unfortunate injury.
And whether that's the case or not, Celebrini didn't give a damn. Their team is down. His buddy went down and stayed down. He went over and he kind of slowed down and skated by and like observed for a second. You know how some guys just fly in their 100 miles an hour confetti gloves? He kind of looked for a second and like made sure he knew what was happening, made sure Smith wasn't getting up, and then said, "Fuck this, I don't care." And he just goes in there and he just starts feeding Wotherspoon, throwing him around like he's I assume 19 at this point. I don't even know if he's 20 years old yet, and he's going in there giving this guy as much business as he possibly can. I don't know if the two of them I don't think they dropped the gloves, but
no,
they just
got like
rough.
And
they were definitely pushing back. I think Celebrini threw maybe a couple, gloved punches that are like the style that's more roughing, not like a sucker punch.
Yeah.
But the way he did it and the fire he went in there with, I mean, clearly it sparked the team because they ended up coming back, and he got a double minor of roughing for it. So that shows you how much, like, usually they're not giving out double minors for it. That's how hard he went in on it. And just the way he did it was just like, that's what you want out of your young franchise player. Like, that's captain shit. I would not complain if they announced in the post-game presser, he is our next captain, and gave him the C right then and there. Like, he's playing good enough, like more than good enough. He's beyond elite this year and has good two-way play, and he'll stand up for the team, and he's loved in the locker room. What about this guy doesn't scream, put the freaking captaincy on him and leave it there for 20 years? Like, I don't think we need to wait till he's 20 or 21. You
won't
it
hear
now.
complaint out of me.
I think it's time.
Kind of light that spark on the team. And obviously, Penguins did score afterwards, but Celebrini being an instrumental part in mounting that comeback for San Jose, and
including the
everything you said, I'm right there with you. I totally agree. And so, tough loss for the Penguins. You fast forward to the next day, Sunday morning. You imagine the Penguins are going to come out and be pissed and ready to prove people wrong after that loss and put it behind them.
Yep.
And they did that. I mean, they got off to a
Yeah.
3-0 lead over the Utah Mammoth, and vibes are good. I don't even know what the Penguins call their arena anymore. Is it still like the PPG Paints Arena? Is that what it is?
Maybe. I honestly
Whatever it
think they
is,
might have changed it,
the igloo there was rocking for the Penguins, and vibes were good, and they do it again. Up 3-0
It is
going
still
into the
Paints.
third period. Okay, perfect. Up 3-0 going into the third period, and they find themselves down 4-3 and fighting to tie it and send it to overtime, which they do. They do tie it up, but then they lose in overtime.
Who scored the OT winner? Was that Genther?
I think so, yeah.
He just walks in, like not quite N10, but most of the ice all on his own, just walks in, and they were not prepared for it. The goalie wasn't ready. He just ripped that thing from top of the circle. And that's a 4 and a 3 goal lead blown well into the game that's rough.
And then to do it on back-to-back days as well. It's like you would think after the first time they kind of learn their lesson and really bear down in the third period, be like, we can't do this again, and for it to happen again. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, like
feel for the fans too, obviously.
Penguins fans aren't going to feel safe with any lead for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
like unless it's a multi-goal lead with 2 minutes left, and even then, it's we'll see. Like, yeah, it's
absolutely
that's rough for them. So we'll keep an eye on them, keep an eye on those Penguins, and see if they can bounce back,
hold on to some leads or blow them. Absolutely.
Their record isn't horrendous, but at this point they are on a 5-game losing streak currently, so it is not been great for them as of late.
It's been a rough go for Pittsburgh.
Recently getting back Ricard Raquel.
Yeah, which is a huge add back for them. Yeah, and I think once he gets it going, I think the team will. They're still in a good spot right now, and again, if you ask Penguins fans right now, it's if things keep going south and you end up near the bottom of the league and you have a chance to Gavin McKenna, they're not going to be upset.
No,
it's
they'd like to be.
The fact of what they're doing already is they're already kind of exceeding expectations that most people, including Penguins fans, kind of set for them. So,
yeah,
is what it is.
And they just got a little bit of value back for one of their goalies, because we can.
Yeah, let's dive into that now.
We can jump into some trade talk here, because they sent out Tristan Jarry. They traded him and Sam Poulin they sent them to Edmonton in exchange for Stuart Skinner, Brett Kulak, and a 2029 second rounder. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, let's throw it out there first of all on the table. The Edmonton Oilers finally made a trade for a goalie. They finally made a goalie move. The one thing that people have been screaming about for the past couple of years, and it seems like Edmonton constantly ignored every opportunity. When you look at,
they constantly said it too. Like, they were very outright. Like, we hear people saying we should get a new goalie. No, the answer's in the locker room. You're wrong. And they finally decided maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, when you watch, Askarov got moved and everybody knew he was available. Spencer Knight got moved. Jacob Markstrom got traded out of Calgary, and Mackenzie Blackwood traded out of San Jose. Edmonton had a lot of opportunities to go out and get these goalies, and especially Blackwood, where the price wasn't super high to pay. It's a head scratcher why they didn't. And so just numerous times goalies kind of went by and they didn't do anything. And it kept making you wonder, why are they not doing this? Like, it's clearly the weak spot on the team. And again, at the end of the day, we've both said it. We don't fully blame Stuart Skinner, because Edmonton was getting what we think still better value than they should have out of a goalie they're only paying like, what, $2 million?
Yeah, it's like, I think he's making.
We would be a lot more critical on Skinner if he was a goalie making $6 million, $6.5 million. But the matter of the fact was he wasn't. He was getting paid tandem money, if you want to call it that. And he gave you solid tandem performances. He was never meant to be a guy
Did he have
to
like
be
4 or 5
ridden the way
shutouts
he
in the
was.
playoffs last year?
I don't know if he quite reached that, but I know
Like,
his second round against Vegas was like electric, like incredible.
yeah, like he was much better than he had any right to be. So the fact that he was making that little money is like you can't put it on him. I would sooner put on the goaltending staff and the coaches they have behind the scenes, because he did his job. And
obviously, it makes sense.
he had
He's the one to
three
get the blame,
shutouts.
but he had
three shutouts
Okay.
in the playoffs last year in only 15 games for a guy that you're paying under $3 million.
Not bad.
It's not bad at all. Like, imagine any other, the majority of other teams, their starter goes down and they have a guy that they're paying that amount of money and he gets 3 shutouts. Jonas Johansson puts up 3 shutouts for Tampa, or, something like that. Like, that's, everyone would be in love with that player for doing that. If Jake Allen does that in New Jersey, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously it's tough that Stuart Skinner's the one to be moved here and sent to Pittsburgh, but I would have liked it to be Calvin Pickard for him personally. But
I think
Skinner had to go
the Oilers
make money work,
well.
and Brett Kulak had to be attached to go with to make the money work, because again, Tristan Jarry was Pittsburgh did not retain on him one bit, and so early grades here of what I'll say for the trade. For Pittsburgh, it is an A+ for me, solely because earlier this year, January 15th of 2025, Tristan Jarry was put on waivers. Not a single team claimed him. No one wanting to take him and his entire contract.
Yeah.
The year isn't even up, and Kyle Dubas finds a way to unload Tristan Jarry, not having to retain on him. You get a second-round pick back. You get Stuart Skinner and Brett Kulak, who are both on expiring deals. So you can retain on either one of these guys, and you can flip them at the deadline. And there's teams that would be lining up to get a Brett Kulak for a playoff run. There's teams that are going to be dealing with goaltender injuries and whatnot that wouldn't mind taking Stuart Skinner a little over $1 million as a backup for the time being, or to run it with as a backup in the playoffs. Because I think Stuart Skinner can be a good goalie, just not a goalie you can ride for 65 regular season games and then through the playoffs. He's not that guy, and that's not his fault. So it's an A+ for Pittsburgh, because you moved an asset that was a negative asset last season, and now you could end up with moving Jarry and getting maybe 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick. That ain't too bad.
No, not at all.
And that ain't bad at all for them.
And frankly, if they can make the money work, I could see a world where Brett Kulak gets retained on and sent back to Edmonton. He's kind of a guy that they would like to have right now. I could see a world where if they can find a way to shed enough cap to make that work, maybe a guy goes down, they know he's not coming back the rest of the season. They say, hey, he's expiring anyway. You want Kulak back? We'll even retain him. You're getting him back at half the price he was before.
Yeah. And also just to throw in there,
Oilers, they have a second all 3 next years. They have 2 first. Like, they have a bunch of picks that the Penguins would like.
Yeah, and I do like for Edmonton that it was a 2029 second-round pick, so not super immediate, and a second-round pick that's not quite as valuable to teams
on cap wages. That's 4
along with this deal, Edmonton did trade a 2027 third-round pick to Nashville for defenseman Spencer Stastny. Good, solid, I think, depth defenseman to kind of fill that void of Kulak. So, gave Pittsburgh an A+ for Edmonton. I'm not going to give him a grade because it's too early to tell. It does not matter if Tristan Jarry wins almost every game with Edmonton, has a .950 save percentage there, and they win the President's Trophy. It doesn't matter if he has an .800 save percentage and is the worst goalie in the league. Edmonton, we all know Edmonton's going to make the playoffs regardless. They're going to get in, whether it's top of the Pacific, second, third wildcard spot.
Yeah.
Playoffs is the only thing that matters. I don't care what Tristan Jarry does there during the regular season. The only thing that matters, I don't think they do either, what happens come playoff time. And that's where we'll actually be able to properly evaluate the trade for Edmonton. Because again, to me, I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care, but it doesn't matter what Jarry does during the regular season because this is a move made for the playoffs. Edmonton was going to make the playoffs with Stuart Skinner and Brett Kulak, but they lost in the finals back-to-back years.
Making the playoffs isn't good enough for them. And making the finals isn't good enough. They want it literally is cup or bust every year until McDavid has a cup or is gone. Like those are the only options.
Jarry, the big thing people point out is he has yet to win a playoff series in his career. He's never gotten out of the first round or been the goalie to get the Penguins out of the first round. So this will be a big test for Jarry too. And
he has only had one shot at it though. He's only had one playoff run where he's been the starter. He played one game in 1920 for the Penguins, one game in 21-22. Only one in both of those, so I'm assuming those were in relief. And then he played 6 games for the Penguins in 2021. So I assume he was the starter for those 6 games. He had an .888, but I mean, only 6 games. Your save percentage is never going to look good when you're on the losing side. So it's hard to say.
It was against the Islanders, though. Just saying. The team people like to clown on. It was the badass Islanders at the time.
Team people like to clown on, but also a team that plenty of people say, they beat everyone to get to the conference finals, and if they beat Tampa, a lot of people had them to win the cup on one or both of those years.
They're probably back-to-back cup winners, honestly. To me, the Stanley Cup Finals those 2 years was really Tampa and the Islanders, to be honest with you.
I still think Dallas probably beats them. I think they beat.
Nah, because they were a team of destiny.
Interesting, but
they were a team of destiny that first year. I felt like the Lightning were the only team that was gonna wear them down and beat them. And but for Edmonton again, I think it's a fine trade. I think it's a high risk, high reward trade.
Yeah,
and because you look at it, and if it doesn't work out with Tristan Jarry, that's not a great contract that you're now kind of stuck with. Because again, it's Pittsburgh didn't retain. If Jarry looks awful there, and then it's like, well, now do you have to buy him out as well after you just had to buy out Jack Campbell? That's not going to be good for Edmonton when every dollar matters. Even with the cap going up for a team like Edmonton, every dollar does matter.
Yeah.
But maybe they make it all the way back to the Cup final. Tristan Jarry can steal him a game or two, and they win the Cup. It's impossible to say. But again, for Edmonton, playoffs is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
They couldn't care less what Jarry does in the regular season. They just need him to show up and be solid for them in the playoffs.
Yeah. I would give this for Edmonton, I think, around a B. I think I'm a little bit higher on Jarry than most people are. I don't love that they had to give up Kulak. That's one of the bigger things holding this trade down for me. I care more about them giving up Kulak than not having Jarry retained. Sucks that they had to move out Skinner, but that just money had to. 2029 second round pick. McDavid, the current GM, none of them are going to be around for that. That is literally somebody else's problem. Nobody cares.
If they don't win a cup.
Frankly, I didn't know they were allowed to trade picks that far into the future. That's 4 years away. I thought it was like kind of most teams only ever trade up to 3 years away.
Yeah.
Like the furthest I'd seen before this was like most teams are trading 2028s as their really far away picks. I didn't even know that was on the table. So,
yeah.
But bring in Jarry, I think he could be good for him. Like a lot of people are like, but it's a bad contract, and they were trying to get rid of him, and it's like they were trying to get rid of him, but like, why? Was it because he's bad? Because it doesn't. I don't know, man. I'm looking at his stats year over year, and he doesn't look bad. A 921, a 909, a 919, a 909, a 903. Last season, he was an 893. That's not great, but it was in 36 games, and it was for a bad Penguins team. They were on the downswing.
It is.
At that point.
You got to remember, though, for Pittsburgh, it is their, I think they don't know what they want to be yet. They kind of thought they're going to be retooling and rebuilding, but it's like, the team's good now. But they do have some young goalies that they want to give their time to, and they kind of see as the future. And again,
Yeah.
Tristan Jarry was kind of viewed as a negative asset last season. No one wanted him for free, and now the fact you get a second round pick, you get guys like Kulak and Skinner that you can move and get more pieces back. I understand it for them. I don't think Jarry's necessarily a bad goalie, but do you just sit there and ride
I'm
it out
not
with
saying
him?
I completely agree that it was like an A+ for the Penguins. I still really like it for them. I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of some people are borderline seeing this as a lateral move. It's just a shakeup in net, and I just don't see that. This is an upgrade in goaltending for them. Like, Stuart Skinner was good, but Jari has had pretty solid numbers throughout his career. Last year was his first year in his entire career with a save percentage below 900. As long as you're not counting the one game he played in his rookie year. And in 18-19, he only played 2 games and had an 887. Beyond
I
that,
think people are viewing it because
he's a career 910.
you could make the argument that Edmonton's goaltending got better, yes, but then counter argument, their defense got worse. And
Absolutely.
it's tough
Brett
for a
Kulak is
goalie
the part I like
to,
least about this for Edmonton.
yeah, and it's tough for goalies, when you have Evan Bouchard wheeling behind the net and he drops it right out front to a player to just tap it in your net, like.
Just throwing
And again,
pizzas
I'm
out
not
there.
saying Bouchard does all the time, but when he does it, we're going to point it out and be like, this happened.
If you won't say it, I will, man. Holy crap, he does it a lot. I'm
He
sure
he, he
Oilers fans
does
won't
he,
disagree.
he does do it a lot.
And
If you're ever trying to find a partner in life for those single people, find someone who will defend you the way that Oilers fans defend Evan Bouchard, because it is truly beautiful to see how much they go to bat for this guy, and it is truly a very beautiful thing to watch.
Frankly, I don't see many of them defending his defensive play. They just say, yeah, but he also puts up points. And it's like, at least that's an argument, because they are right. He puts up a lot of points.
Does put up a lot of points, but yeah. So again, like Jari's going from Pittsburgh to Edmonton, and yeah, I would give Jari the slight edge over Stuart Skinner. But again, if the team in front of you isn't going to play good enough defense and leave you in a lot of bad spots, it's going to be very, very tough for Jari, and obviously too early to tell on how this trade's going to go. But you know what? What was the alternative for Edmonton? I see people clown on Edmonton, but what was the alternative? You just you ride out, because at the end of the day, I don't think they had the assets for, a UC Saros, to go out and get that stud goalie. I don't think they had the assets for that. Maybe a Jordan Binnington, but even then, that's a bit of a stretch. And so do you sit on your hands and be like, there's nothing we can do? You had to try something, and so I don't fault them for this move.
That's why, like, the bottom I can view this as. Like, the worst I can see this trade as is a C for Edmonton, because because they didn't give up a ton, and at the very least, they tried. They went and got a new goalie. We're not seeing a third playoff run in a row with Stuart Skinner as a starter. I think he's done more than that, but obviously he went to the finals with them the last 2 years, and yeah, I think there's a better chance than people are giving him credit for that Tristan Jarry is the guy that they needed in Edmonton. That said, they definitely cannot be done. They have to upgrade more. We've said this plenty of times on the podcast before, but with that 2-year extension, they have 3 years to win the cup, and then McDavid leaves, and now nobody wants to come to your org. Now you're going to have to shell out a lot of money or get stuffed. These players are not coming to your team. So they have to win now, and they have the 2027 first rounder, 2028. I'm going to assume the 29, because that's on the table now. And they have all their second rounders. They only have used this upcoming draft's first rounder. They have the vast majority of their picks otherwise.
Yeah.
Ship them. Get some freaking defensemen, man. Come on.
Yeah.
John Klingberg looked real good the other night.
It'll be tough on the right up against the cap, but they got to find ways to make it work. Every other team that's winning does. So, something to keep an eye on with Edmonton.
What did Mangiapane do? What did Mangiapane do last season? Was he good? Like, why is he getting
average for?
Like, why did they give him 3.6 mil for 2 years with a full no trade?
Maybe that's the only way he's willing to go to Edmonton.
So don't sign him. That is not a guy that will make or break your squad. He's not that good. Like, I get the upsides there, but a full no move? Like, in case
Yeah, it's
he's a
not ideal, but
in case he's a absolute boat anchor, like, make it a 30 team no trade. And then you have one team where you're like, please just take this guy away or something. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
oh,
and that's the tough part, right? Is because like you look at those and it's like, yeah, it's bad, but at the time you look at it and going in, at the time when they made the move, it was like your plan was, you know, I don't even think they had. Actually, they might have like Isaac Howard and Matthew Savoie as your second line wingers, and you know Howard's down in the AHL now, and Savoie's doing better now, but started the season off pretty rough, and it's like at the time now it looks bad, but back then it's like they had to try and bring guys in to
that was
fill
their
out that
plan,
top
but
six
like
because
that's the
you
plan to
couldn't
get McDavid
run.
a cup. Two
That's
rookies
what
in the
was left
top
out there.
six.
That's what was left out there that they could afford after Bouchard takes up a big chunk of money, and the Drysdale extension um, kicks in.
But those guys don't take up the entire cap. Like, what's taking up
No, but
the important cap for them is all these guys who are not producing for them, and
I
all
also
of them
said the
are
Trent
making like
Frederick
4
one
mil.
was bad at the time. You were somewhat optimistic about it, but that one's looking
I was
pretty
one of
bad
the
now.
only people on the planet who was optimistic on it. People are still using Trent Fredericks as a measurement of value for new contracts being signed. People are still talking about if Vancouver retained on Quinn Hughes, he would have been worth one Trent Frederick. So that one's definitely been rough. I
But we
thought
should move
Frederick
on
was a bit better.
from the Edmonton Oilers here.
Yeah.
We got a couple other news here. Connor Hellebuyck returning for the Winnipeg Jets from his injury.
Is this early? I thought he was supposed to be out a bit
think
longer.
I think they said it was about a week earlier than expected. He's back.
Makes sense. And they need him. Like, that's huge for the Jets. He had a great first game back. And yeah, this Jets team has not been playing great this year. And they are 5-3-2 in their last 10. Like, wasn't their goal differential like crazy last year? It's -1 right now.
Yeah, and it's I like Eric Comrie. But again, kind of shows that
good backup
guys can be good backups, but they can't. It's difficult for them when they have to start game after game over a long period of time. It can be difficult for them when it's something they're not used to. And I never fault the goalies for that, because what are they supposed to do, right? They're like, I'm a backup. You're paying me as a backup, and now it's like, go play all, and especially in the Central Division too. That's an absolute.
It's like if you put your fourth line grinder out there in the shootout. Like, if he doesn't score, you're not going, fuck, why didn't you just score? Like, no. If you put McDavid out there 3 nights in a row for a shootout and he doesn't score, you're like, okay, fucking bear.
Yeah, and so when your
the bottom
team
guy isn't expected.
Yeah, and when you're a team like Winnipeg, where you go from having Connor Hellebuyck, who just won back-to-back Vezinas, he just won the Hart Trophy and whatnot. It can be very difficult going from that and being used to that to game after game. It's like, okay, we don't have him now. And so I think the team kind of started to lean more towards like, we got to play good defense, and we got to do more for our goalie, because he's not going to be able to, again, no offense to Eric Comrie, but he's not going to be able to bail you out the way Connor Hellebuyck can. No. And I think that kind of hurt the team, having to shift away from a lot of their offense that they're playing. And you can kind of see it now, though, with Hellebuyck back. They're getting back into more of their natural rhythm and whatnot. And so, again, people are kind of low on the Jets right now. The Jonathan Toews experiment hasn't worked out quite as well as we all kind of hoped for them, which is very, very unfortunate, actually, when you look at how much money he's making now. But getting Connor Hellebuyck back it totally transforms that team.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes them so much more dangerous. And yeah, I'm very curious to see where this team ends up, because they're one of those teams that's kind of feels impossible to predict. They, even when they had Hellebuyck in, like, they were still not really in the playoffs. If they were at times in the wild card, like, I mean, when you're comparing them to the Avs Stars in the Wild, they are definitely looking like an odd man out in that Central Division, even if they make the playoffs. So,
yeah, I'm expecting some moves to happen with Winnipeg at some point or other. And again, I think it is to kind of go all in. I think at this point now, if you're in the Central, you can't. If you're a team trying to contend, you have to just go all in now. because
Yeah.
the Avs aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Dallas, Minnesota, they're not going anywhere. So, got to go all in for Winnipeg. Absolutely.
And the Jets, they have all of their first rounders from here to the end of time. And yeah, like they're in win now mode. Mark Scheifele is 32. He ain't getting younger. And where's some of their other important pieces? They got Hellebuyck's 32. Like as soon as he's done, that's kind of like their window for the most part. I expect his game will age decently.
Yeah.
He's a pretty angles based goalie, not always reactions. So I think his game will age well, but he is already 32. Yeah,
the time for Winnipeg to go all in is now.
The time
it's
is now, and you wish it was a bit earlier. You wish it was in the future, but unfortunately, your time lines exactly up with everyone else in the Central. So,
yeah.
Though the first and second round of whoever makes it in the Central is going to be nuts.
Gonna be a battle. It's going to be insane.
Like this team could load up and potentially end up looking better than their squad that won the Presidents last year, and still be easily the fourth best team in the division. Like,
yeah.
That's so stupid. Yeah. It's crazy. I feel like I've never seen the NHL in a state like this, where there's so many teams wanting to win right now so desperately. Like
absolutely,
I feel like GMs before, like buying big, going all in this year was getting a pretty good second line player for the playoffs, and not more, and maybe a depth guy. Like that's it. Now it's like teams are buying on Quinn Hughes. Oh, and guess what? We're probably going to go get more stuff before the playoffs. Like these guys have lost their
don't
mind,
expect Minnesota to be done.
So good.
It's very good.
It's going to make the product on the ice so much better.
Another team in the Central Division, another Connor Bedard, out until at least the beginning of January sometime with an upper body injury suffered right at the end of the game against the St. Louis Blues. Some kind of shoulder injury, it looks like.
Probably
don't quite know exactly what it is.
If I had to guess.
Doesn't sound like surgery is going to be needed, which is very good, thankfully, because that would be awful for him. Huge loss for Chicago, obviously. The kind of biggest thing no, absolutely not. And
I've seen some people saying like you should come on, he's so good that the team's going to tank without you. Got to get him back. What are we fighting for here? Come on, they're also in the Central. What are they going to make? This team already with him probably isn't making the playoffs. Even if they do, what are they taking down the Avs, the Wild, the Stars? Hell, even the Jets or Utah? No, like
it just ain't happening. And the first thing I thought when this wasn't how does this affect the Blackhawks? My thing was, does this affect Bedard's chance to make Team Canada for the Olympics? Because we now know that I don't know. I get this. This doesn't sound like it's the case for every team, but we know for sure that Canada's Olympic team will be announced on New Year's Eve. And
crazy work to do.
Bedard, who has already been off to a great start to the season, top 5 in scoring, is still what you can call on a trial run. He's still kind of out there proving himself to make the team. His trial run is over now. We're not going to see Bedard play another game before the announcement is made. So it's now up to Team Canada and their crew to decide from what they saw from Bedard now, from the beginning of the season up until the injury of, does he make it? Does he not? And does this injury, is that going to affect, his play maybe when he comes back? Or we don't even know exactly when he's coming back. Their timeline is early January, but that can vary. And it's tough to say if he'll make the team, if he won't with this injury, because I got to be honest. I mean, if you're on the fence and you're debating between Bedard and someone else, and after this injury, I wouldn't blame Canada if they go in a different direction. Again, me personally, I would love to see Bedard on Team Canada. You and I both been saying that all season long. But if this injury is the reason he doesn't, I'm going to be upset, but I will understand it. You know, if he was healthy and no injury or anything and doesn't make the team, I'd be furious. Like, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But because of this injury, I'll just be sad. But I won't be mad because
It
I do
doesn't sound like
understand
it's
it.
enough of an injury though to take him out for long enough that it should be a thing. Because even if
My thing is if they're debating
he's
between him and like
injured and
another
he's not good
player.
enough, but even if he's injured and he can't do it, just do what they did at the Four Nations. Just okay, a guy is injured, we get to call an emergency replacement guy. Nobody who is in the running for this spot that he would be giving up, nobody's going to be like, "Oh, sorry, I've already got plans. I'm turning down the Olympics."
Yeah, yeah,
Like
no one's gonna turn it down.
they'd be there.
Um,
So like to me, even if they bring him and because the injury doesn't work out, they wouldn't even be risking a roster spot, in my opinion. Like frankly, I'm still on the aside that it would be foolish not to bring him.
I think they
Unfortunately,
should take him, but I can
I think
understand
it's
why they might not.
I think
Like, I'm
they're
still
leaning to not
banging the
taking
drum
him.
of I'm still banging the drum of he should be there, but
Yeah.
if they were on the fence about him and this injury scares him off, like I understand it though. It's
Did
gonna
you
suck.
hear
But
Hockey Canada? I really wish I could remember who said it, but one of the higher ups in Hockey Canada, what they said about the team they're trying to put together.
no.
I believe the specific quote, and there's a whole bunch that they said, so I'm just saying the one part, but they said that we are not looking to put together a team of all stars. We are looking to put together a winning hockey team. And I fucking hate that. That
Yeah, I
it
don't know that.
if my GM of my NHL team said that, okay, I can get behind that because you're not going to get a team of all stars anyway. I do not want to hear that from Hockey Canada. Oh my god.
And one thing
Because
I will say for
that sounds like
anyone
they're soft launching, leaving Celebrini and Bedard at home in favor of frickin' Tom Wilson and
mhm,
Sam Bennett. That's what it sounds like to me, and I don't like
kind
that.
of, and for anyone listening that's a Canadian and is going to be rooting for Team Canada Olympics, yes, it sounds good when they say we want to put together a winning team, but look at Team Canada the last years in the World Juniors. Their thing
Read
was
You have to read
we're
between the
not putting an
lines.
all-star team. We're putting together a winning team. Well, how did that do when you have nothing to
That
show
means that
for it the last few years?
they're bringing
You
grinders
know,
or
like
something like
you're
that. Like,
yeah. I'm the thing for the Olympics. Best players.
yeah.
Don't take a guy that's like, man, he's gonna go out there on the fourth line. He's gonna give us an honest, hard 6 minutes, and probably not play in the third period. But man, those 6 minutes they're gonna be something. They're gonna be huge. Like no, you, I'm right there with you. It's you take the best players. You take the guys that. I mean, if you have a guy on all four of your lines that can instantly take over a game, like if you got on one line, you got Connor
Yeah.
McDavid. One line you got Nathan McKinnon. One line you got Sidney Crosby. Again, they're going to put McKinnon and Crosby together, but for the sake of the argument. And then fourth line you have Celebrini.
Yeah.
You have a player on each of your four lines that can take over a shift, can take over a game. That's huge. You need that.
But Celebrini's young. He's not working out center. Okay, he plays the wing. Now we got Braden Point at center. Like they have
Yeah.
Sam Reinhart's been known to play at center from time to time. Like they have infinite options at center, and any center. Like I'm of the opinion that basically any centerman can play on the wing because the wing is
Yeah.
center but less responsibility. Like
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah,
little adjustment,
absolutely.
maybe a practice to go over it. They're big boys. They're the best in the world. They figure it out pretty quick. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Um,
really hope them that was the quote that was floating around a bit a couple
I
days
never
ago
saw
that I
that.
was
Yeah.
like, I'm really hoping that's not them soft launching the idea of not bringing Schaefer, not bringing any of the young guys that are putting up all the points and decent defensive numbers this year
Mm-hmm.
in the stead of a Sam Bennett or something like that. Like
100%. Yeah.
we
And
can't be
we've
overthinking this.
we've talked about it at previous times before. At some point on the YouTube, we will have something coming out about our predictions for certain teams and whatnot for that. So
Should
keep
be
an eye out for that. Don't know
sometime in the
exactly
next
when
2 weeks,
that's.
probably, because
Yeah, well, yeah,
we'll want to do it before teams start announcing the rosters.
absolutely. I think we're kind of just figuring out the best way to do it, and if it's what we think the team. Actually, maybe we should have we should ask some people and be like, what should we do? Should it be if we were making the team, how would we do it? Or are we doing it how we think the team is going to end up?
You know what?
There's two very like different ways that could totally shift how I would put some teams together.
I think we should do what we would do as the team.
What we would do. Okay.
Because
easy enough for me.
I think those teams are different. And frankly, the team that we think would win, I mean, I guess it kind of goes without saying. I think that team is going to look a lot better than the team of what we guess they'll do.
Okay, so we'll do that. So keep an eye on the YouTube at some point in the next little while. And when I say little while, I mean like less than 2 weeks. But
yeah,
at some point.
About 15 or 16 days until New Year's, and then they'll be announcing it. So we'll have to have it out before then.
Yeah, absolutely. Last bit of news before we kind of dive into some of the fun stuff here to wrap it up. Braden, do you want to hit us with the last bit of news we got there?
Hurricanes goaltender Brandon Bussi becomes the fastest goalie to reach 10 wins in a career in 11 games.
Incredible.
Bussi is in the history books, and that's going to be tough for somebody to beat.
Yeah, the only way you beat it is you got to go 10 and 0.
10.
And that's
you can only tie.
Pretty tough to do.
You have to go 10 and 0 in your first 10. Or if you don't, you can go 10 and 11 and tie this record. Like,
yeah.
Good for him, man.
It's not easy, yeah. Yeah, all I can really say is just congrats to Brandon Bussi. I mean, he was never played an NHL game, like an actual regular season game going into this season, was a part of the Florida Panthers, put on waivers, and was claimed by Carolina, who already had, 2 goalies, but a lot of injury concerns with those guys. And I mean, he got the opportunity, and he's running with it.
Yeah, he's been looking real good.
Is good on him. All he's doing right now is winning, and that's huge for Carolina. If you have your third string goalie can step in and go 10 and 1, you're doing something right with your team. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, you're doing something right. It doesn't feel like they do. That's the crazy part. It's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that they don't feel like that because the Hurricanes, when was the last time they got into the playoffs and didn't win a round? When was the last time they missed the playoffs or went out in round 1? Like,
sure.
It was probably like 2017 or something.
Like
20. They've been
I hate to be that guy, but what was the year Tampa lost to Columbus? I hate to be that guy, but
no, fair.
Because it was that year. I know that they actually, yeah, because they
2019.
No, actually, no, they didn't. They got out of round 1 even. Fuck, my bad. Sorry. That was the year that
sometime before then.
Yeah, because that was the year that they swept. No, the Islanders swept the Penguins. Then the Hurricanes swept the Islanders. And then the Bruins swept.
Man, the Hurricanes have dunked on the Islanders over the years, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
we can move on from the Carolina Hurricanes and Brandon Bussi.
I do have one more bit of news here, just because I already see that we don't have it written down. But Victor Hedman underwent some elbow surgery and has been put on LTIR. He is going to be out until sometime around early February. I imagine he probably won't be playing for the Lightning until either March or late February. I imagine the next time you see him on the ice in a playing manner will be for Team Sweden at the Olympics.
That's kind of what I think. Probably he was captain too, I imagine.
That's, if I had to guess, probably. He was the captain at Four Nations. I imagine it's a similar committee putting the team together. He's captain of the Lightning, obviously. I think Erik Karlsson's the only guy that really has much acclaim to take the captaincy.
And I think you still go with Hedman, though.
Yeah.
Love Erik Karlsson, don't get me wrong, but I think Hedman's if you had him at Four Nations, just nothing wrong with running it back.
Yeah. So hopefully he gets better in plenty of time so that he can play at the Olympics, because, man, would it suck for him to not be able to do that. He was already held out a couple games before he came back, and then he played for like the first period of a game and didn't come back. And I don't think anything got re-aggravated. I think it was just kind of a, let's see if I can do this. Pretty quickly, he was like, nope, let's just get this over with. Let's get the surgery done. Let's get it going. So,
absolutely, yeah. And that's the right way to go about it, I think.
Yeah.
Last bit of stuff here before we get into our couple of closing segments here. We are going to come back to, we did mention it, the Quinn Hughes trade. Quinn Hughes going to Minnesota, coming out of nowhere. And again, if you want to hear our full thoughts on the entirety of the deal and everything, we did a full, I mean, it is long, it is 40 minutes, but it is like a full in-depth review of the trade.
Yeah. We do a pretty good job of breaking it down.
You can, I think so. I think we did a good job here, but we can come back to it and kind of touch on it a bit here for the podcast. So where are we at here? What are your feelings a couple days later after the Quinn Hughes trade now here?
Just to set the scene, if you've somehow got through this and already haven't heard the news, but Quinn Hughes got sent, the captain of the Vancouver Canucks, got sent to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Liam Ogren, Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, and this year's first-round pick. I believe it's the entire trade. I thought it was pretty good when it happened for both sides. A little bit better for Minnesota because, wow. But I really like the return that Vancouver got. And the first game that those guys played with Vancouver, a couple minutes in, and Zeev Buium already had a goal and an assist. Like, that's got to make Vancouver fans feel a little better, right? Obviously, he's not going to put up 82 goals, 82 assists every season. But, like, that's nice to see that he immediately made an impact, a good impact.
Game winning goal. And it was against New Jersey as well, by the way.
Yeah, which is a little
no Jack Hughes
fun
in the game, but Luke. Do you think Luke Hughes ever thought at a time he'd be like, man, it's going to be Devils versus Canucks, and I'm going to be the only one playing in the game? Probably never thought that'd be the case, but
yeah,
here we are. I mean, yeah, you know, it's a deal that I can't, like, again, we you know, kind of speculated the last couple weeks about a Quinn Hughes trade and where might he go, and talking about teams that were involved. Both of us, nobody else as well mentioned really Minnesota. Minnesota
you said
wasn't
it earlier. Bill Guerin didn't know. He didn't know until like 4 days before.
Yeah, and I do want to start off by saying I have all the respect in the world for Bill Guerin for pulling off this move. And you know, when you look around, and you know, we talked about it a little bit before, but you kind of went all in once you gave Kaprizov the bag there, and in a deal that nobody thought he was going to do. Is like, oh, Kaprizov's gone, Billy G can't get it done. He got it done, and once he did, you had to go all in. Once you paid Kaprizov, you had to go all in. You see how good Colorado is. You see how good Dallas was the previous years. And the Dallas Stars also went out and they got Mikko Rantanen last year. Winnipeg is good. And so you had to go all in. You had to make a move. And I mean, you go out and you get the second best defenseman in the league. That's pretty damn good. And whatever you had to pay, doesn't matter. If you win a Stanley Cup with Quinn Hughes, doesn't matter what you gave up. If Quinn Hughes signs an 8-year extension and spends the rest of his career at the Wild, doesn't matter what you gave up because you got Quinn Hughes.
And he said he is extremely open. After his very first game there, he said he is extremely open to the idea of signing long-term with the Wild. Obviously, he's going to say something like that, but I don't know, man. There was a couple times where that's the first genuine smile I've seen from Quinn Hughes in a little bit. He's not an expressive guy.
Yeah, and
he had a couple moments where he's visibly happy.
Absolutely, and it was part of a big, kind of longer, kind of press conference thing after his first game with the Wild, which he did have a goal and assist of his own in that game. So, but I highly encourage everybody to go check it out because it is a really great interview, and Quinn Hughes is so well spoken. We don't see it super often out of him, but he is a very well spoken individual, and he has a lot of respect for Bill Guerin for putting his nuts on the table and going all in and going out and getting him. And it's not lost on Quinn Hughes that the Minnesota Wild gave up a lot to get him. Like, they gave up good pieces of their now and their future to go and get him. And so he has a lot of respect for Bill Guerin for pulling off that move to get him, bringing him
winning
in.
GMs do.
And
that's what you want to
exactly. And you know,
he has not had that in Vancouver. He has not had a lot of trades to be happy his team's making.
Yeah, right. And again, you know, the thing people love to go back to, and especially Devils fans, is, when his contract's up, he's going to walk to New Jersey. There's no guarantee of that. If Quinn Hughes has a chance to win a Stanley Cup year after year with Minnesota on a good team, why would he Why would he throw it away to go play with his brothers on a team that hasn't had any playoff success with either of them there? Yeah, he's playing with his brothers, but if you ask, I mean, actually, it's kind of tough because Jordan and Eric Staal played together and they both won a cup. But you ask anybody, it's like, would you rather go play with your brothers, or would you rather go win a cup? And the player's always probably going to tell you, yeah, I'd rather go win a cup. Yeah, it'd be cool for all the Hughes to play together in New Jersey, but if Quinn Hughes has a chance for the next 10 years to win multiple cups, I mean, to get the chance to go up against Cale Makar in the playoffs and go one-on-one with him and prove he's the best defenseman, it's pretty damn enticing for Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Right? And I kind of think, for me, it comes down to there's two possible scenarios, I think, for how this plays out long term.
Right.
Both options is Quinn Hughes extending in Minnesota. I firmly believe he extends there. And it's probably you get a 3-year extension, because then that lines up, and then him and Jack Hughes are both UFAs at the same time. Or he cashes in on the last chance he has to sign an 8-year extension and get paid. And I think that's more likely to do. I genuinely believe Quinn Hughes will sign 8 years in Minnesota and stay there. Because you look at how good the team is now, you look at the talent coming up, and again, like you said, winning matters to Quinn Hughes. And it's tough to find a team that's going to be able to pay him what he's worth, and he's going to get the opportunity to win better than Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I see him sticking around in Minnesota. I don't think he's going full 8. People keep saying this is the last chance to get 8 years. This guy has not had enough injuries to be worrying about if he'll be playing in that long. I think to maximize his money, I think because how old is he? 26? I think he's going to sign a 5 or 6 year extension so that he'll still be a top tier elite player when it expires, and then he'll cash in at that point at whatever the maximum length deal is. Because if he goes 8 years now, that doesn't kick in until 2 years later. Now he's 28. He signs 8 years.
But I don't see Quinn Hughes being 34 and signing a 7-year deal.
Yeah, I forgot about the 2 years. So maybe it'll be a little bit less than that. So
but that's why I kind of said maybe a 3-year, because then that gives him a decent stint with Minnesota. And if things don't work out there and they don't win a cup, his contract expires the same year that Jack Hughes will. And then if things aren't going right for Jack Hughes in New Jersey, maybe they say, hey, let's you go to free agency together, and
I think a 3 or 4 year extension.
You go somewhere together and cash in and play together type of thing.
I think players are leaning towards the trying to hit UFA when you're 31-ish, and then you're a little bit over the hump, but you're still performing great, and teams are going to pay you. And you can and then you sign for as much money and as much term as possible to ride off into the sunset. Maybe you have a couple more contracts at the end, depending how your career goes, but that's where he's looking to make his money. The short-term deal here, and then a long-term deal afterwards, if I had to guess. And I see both of those happening with Minnesota, if I had to guess, but that's pretty far in the future.
Yeah, because the Central has now become a dogfight. You've already got Colorado's top team in the league. You've got the Dallas Stars, who 3 straight trips to the Western Conference Finals, and the Minnesota Wild, who really haven't had much playoff success, but now you've already got a good team. They had a rough start to the year. Like, you look at how they're not that far behind Dallas now, and you think, wow, Minnesota was a bottom 4 team after the first month of the season. Like, they were down there with St. Louis, Calgary, and Nashville.
It's crazy.
And now they're up there, and it's like, oh, now you added Quinn Hughes. And again, you lose Zeev Buium, but Quinn Hughes replaced that. You only kind of really lose Marco Rossi, which does hurt their center depth. But again, like you mentioned before, they're not done. They're going to be pulling off more moves because they're all in now.
Yeah.
You don't pull off this move and say, this is all we can do, the rest on the team. No, Minnesota's still going to continue to double down and make more moves. And that Central Division is going to be insane come playoff time, because you're going to get a first round matchup of Minnesota, Dallas, Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota, Colorado. Like you're going to be getting a matchup in the first round that probably should be in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, straight up.
That's
And
just
we're
how
going to probably
stacked
get
that
two of
division
them.
is.
There's a good chance we get two of them. Like I'm hoping we get, just because I think it'll be fun, I hope we get Stars Jets, and I hope we get Wild Avs. I mean, Quinn
Yeah.
Hughes versus Cale Makar.
That's the matchup everybody wants to see, right? Absolutely.
Free money. Like that, so much interest in that. That's incredible. And this division is so goofy to look at. The Wild and the Stars are both 7-2-1 in their last 10, and they both lost ground on the Avs trying to catch them because the Avs are 7-1-2, so they have an extra overtime loss point.
Yeah.
It's wild over there. Like how the Minnesota Wild have 43 points. They're the lowest of those three.
Yeah.
43 points. That has them 2 points above both the Ducks and the Knights, who are tied for first in the Pacific. The Lightning and the Red Wings are tied at 39 points each for lead in the Atlantic, so they're 4 points above that. And the Hurricanes and Islanders are in first and second in the Metro at 44 and 41 points. They would be first. They are third, very solidly third in their division, and they would be first in two other divisions, and one of them they would be 1 point back of first.
Yeah.
Like, and all these teams have to. How do they have so many points, man? They all have to play each other a bunch of times as well throughout the year. Like that. It's
It's a stacked division, and it only got better. And again, on YouTube we talked a lot more about the whole trade. But for Vancouver, I think it is a very solid return. It is the best offer I think they possibly could have gotten, given the direction of where the team's going. Because like you mentioned when we did it, they used the word rebuild finally in Vancouver, and
he also put a
the
little
pieces they got back.
He sounded like he sounded like a guy who's been told, "Don't say this word. Do never. I don't care if you don't think there's a mic on. Do not say rebuild." When he said it, it sounded like I could hear the exorcism going on. I could hear a cursed soul leave his body. Like he got cleansed, and he finally was allowed to be like, "We can rebuild." And
finally rebuild. Yeah.
Team 32 out of 32 just lost the second best, like on his worst day. Like if he has insane diarrhea and he's dehydrated, third best defenseman in the league. And your captain, I don't see how this team is finishing much higher than the bottom. And they're probably not done trading guys out.
Yeah, I think more moves are to come out of Vancouver. And if this is a full-on rebuild, it is a good place to start in terms of what you got back. Again, we don't want to dive into this too much because we already did a full breakdown. So we do encourage you to go check that out if you are curious about that. But I think we can move on into our last segment here.
Is that the mock trade?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Are you comfortable with this mock trade? Because I know we kind of forgot about it. I'll ask you because it is your week for it. Do you want to do it now, or would you rather wait and we can run it on the Thursday for Friday's episode?
I think it's pretty decent. We might have to. I mean, we can talk about it the same way that we talk about other ones. Maybe we have to adjust it a little for it to work for both teams, but I think it's mostly good.
Okay, I'm on board. I'm excited.
It's very fitting because it includes, and this is one that I came up with, at least a skeleton for it, a couple weeks ago. So it's interesting that it includes Vancouver trading with a team in the Central Division. Okay. And that would be the Vancouver Canucks sending Kiefer Sherwood to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for, originally, I had it as a first-round pick in 2027 and Ivan. I don't think Ivan is quite the player I thought when I was looking at this. I looked at his numbers, kind of redid it, and I'm thinking now that would be a Gavin Brindley. If that might be a Bitwood, then maybe you could downgrade the first to a second, but the main piece is Gavin Brindley and a higher up pick for Kiefer Sherwood.
Sherwood retained, I'm assuming?
He could be. I didn't have it written down on there, but I mean, they have. I am pretty sure they have retention slots in Vancouver still,
And he's on an
and
expiring deal, so
he's on an
no
expiring
long
deal,
term.
and it wouldn't be retaining much because he's on a deal that is getting him $1.5 million right now.
Oh,
So you'd be getting Kiefer Sherwood at 750K.
if he was 50% retained.
Yeah,
Um,
and if they want, I mean, who's to say that they couldn't broker an extension? This could, you don't see it a lot with lower down in the lineup guys, but this could be a sign and trade as well with like a
absolutely.
trade and extend, I guess, with Sherwood.
Absolutely. This might be the quickest one because I'm gonna say I love it for both sides. I know there's people out there that are gonna view it as an overpay for Colorado, but
Kind of
again,
what the
you got to
deadline's
think
about.
if you're a team like Colorado, it's win now. You know, those first round picks in the future and draft class, it doesn't help you until a couple more years down the road. You know, when you're drafting near the back end of the first round, you're drafting a player that's probably 2 to 3 years away from playing, and probably 4 to 5 years from making an impact for your team.
Yeah,
Whereas you can get Kiefer Sherwood, who is probably going to be on the third line for you, but is a heart and soul guy who plays every shift like it's his last. He has proven that he can be a pretty good goal scorer and hits everything around him. And you're going to need that come playoff time. And so I love it for both sides. I think for Vancouver, that's great pieces back as part of the rebuild and makes Colorado a deeper team, a feistier team, and a better team come playoffs. So I don't even see any adjustment that needs to be made, or
yeah. I
I'm sold on it. I
Just
think
to see where
it's a very good
Sherwood
deal.
would fit in to their lineup, I brought up Daily Faceoff, and they must have been doing some line blender
Shout out
stuff
Daily
because
Faceoff.
they have Gavin Brindley on the first line with McKinnon, and they have Marty Necas on the third line. So I figure there's
Mm,
probably some weird stuff going on there. But the idea of having a third line of Victor Olofsson, Ross Colton, and Kiefer Sherwood, that's
that's pretty.
awesome. That's a
That's yeah.
really good third line. Like that's one of those
That's
third
yeah.
lines that like you might end up with one of those HBK lines or the Goodrow Gord Coleman line, the Lundell Marchand Lusterainen. Like
Yeah.
that could end up being something like that. Like that's a nasty squad. And then they obviously still have their top line depth. Their second line would be Landeskog, Nelson, Nichushkin. Like
Solid
that.
goaltending, great blue line.
Gavin Brindley's going to be
That's a
nice, but
yeah.
it'd be nicer having another cup ring.
I have another cup right now. Absolutely. And Kiefer Sherwood definitely helps you. And I could see Sherwood going there having success and whatnot. He's like, you know what? He's probably I could see a world where he doesn't ask for a whole lot of money. Asks for a nice 3x3 or something and says, hey, let's just have fun here and keep going for cups or something.
Yeah. I mean,
And
he hits a lot, so maybe he doesn't think he's going to have the longest career. Maybe before they change the rules, he signs an 8-year extension and goes, yeah, like 8x3 I think that would still be a bargain for the Avs. Like whether he
I would
plays that
actually
out or not, like because right now he's playing like at least a $5 million player, in my opinion. So if you can get
yeah,
him
no,
for free, pay him forever.
I can't poke any holes in it. I think it's a great deal, honestly. A+ for me, from me to you. Well done.
Hell yeah. I win mock trade.
That is definitely the best one that has been cooked up so far in doing this weekly segment. So
Yeah.
I'll try to beat it next week, but it's tough to do. You cooked there. You really did. Um but I guess with that we can move on into our final segment.
Yeah,
For
we
those who've
can.
been around here before, you know we love to wrap it up with a fun game or doing something fun of that sorts. And Braden, today we have another blind ranking.
Ooh.
Another blind
Okay.
ranking. The topic of the blind ranking today is trades. I have a list of
Interesting.
5 trades that have happened over the past
10 years.
10-ish years, yeah. And
Okay.
all big trades. You know, there's no
I
no
had a
depth.
thought of
Like
doing a
they're
segment
big
about some
trades.
big trades, obviously stemming from the Hughes trade. I wonder how many of the ones I thought of. I didn't do a lot of research, but I had a couple off the top of my head, right? I wonder how many
Mhm.
of those will be in here because I do have some ideas.
Probably quite a few. And very simple for the blind ranking. I'll list you a trade. You don't know what's coming next, and you got to blind rank them until the list is
Okay.
completed. And those at home can also play along with this one. Very easy.
All right.
Are
What am
you
I
ready?
ranking them on? Am I ranking them
Ooh,
on
that's a good
how good
question.
they were for both teams? Just overall impact, shock value when it happened.
How do you want to rank them? I guess. I think that makes it easier on me. I'll have to come up with how.
Yeah.
How would you want
You
to
know what?
compile your list for it?
You know what? I think a little bit of all of it. I think a biggest part about what makes a good trade because like there are some big trades. Obviously, the biggest trade we've ever seen is the Gretzky trade, but that's
Yeah.
not the best trade because it didn't work out for the Oilers. They lost
Yeah.
Gretzky. So like I think the success of both sides winning is a bit
Plays a big
important.
part of that.
How much those teams win, like does it help the team a bit or do they win multiple cups because of it?
Hmm.
Um as well as, do players fall off when they get there and a little bit of how shocking it was when it was announced.
Yeah, and kind of the names involved type of thing. So a little bit of everything, kind of, but mostly
Yeah.
being how do the teams come out the other side of it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I like it.
I like that absolutely. Well, starting off here, ooh, I'm just gonna make sure I got in the right order because I never adjust them. I just want to make sure I had them in the right order here that I wanted to go with, and I think, yeah, I think this works. So we'll start off with the first big trade. The Vegas Golden Knights acquired Jack Eichel from the Buffalo Sabres for Alex Tuck, Peyton Krebs, a first round pick, and a second round pick.
Interesting. That's a big one. Somehow wasn't on my radar. Do we know what those picks turned into? I don't know if
Yeah,
they've
I
even would have gotten
can.
to the league yet, but due diligence and
Um,
all that.
let
Good
me
trade,
quickly
obviously.
check
I mean,
here.
Jack Eichel wasn't playing in Buffalo. Like
S-
you
So the first round pick became Noah Ostland, who's kind of up and down between the NHL and AHL this year. The second pick became Riley Height, but that was traded to Minnesota
right.
for Jordan Greenway.
Well, I don't hate them bringing in Greenway. Well, I mean, Vegas obviously wins a cup right after this. They get a guy like Jack Eichel. He's didn't win the Conn Smythe, but he was certainly in the talks for it when they won as well. Like he was a very big piece on that team. It obviously hasn't worked out super well for Buffalo, but Alex Tuck's been great for them. And if I had to guess, there's a good chance they end up moving him in the next couple of months and get something nice back for him. He's also loved it there. He's just been a solid player with them. And we got to see Eichel play more because he was straight up not playing when it happened. He wanted a surgery. They weren't allowing him to have it. And he was just on the shelf. So it also kind of freed him from a little bit of a prison in that aspect. Pretty big trade. Team. And they end up extending Eichel so that he's seemingly basically the rest of his career going to be, for the most part, a lifer in Vegas.
I would agree.
Pretty big implications. There's some big ass trades, but this one
That's the thing, you don't know what's coming.
this one got a number one center and it got a cup. This is huge. So am I gonna put it 3? I'm gonna put this at 3. I want to put it at 2, but I'm gonna go 3 just because it hasn't worked out. It hasn't been a phenomenal trade for Buffalo on their side of it as much,
No, I could see
but
that. Absolutely.
but it hasn't been too bad either.
All right,
It
so
was
you got
it was
the
a bad
Jack
trade,
Eichel.
not a fleece.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
So you got the Jack Eichel trade in the third spot. The second trade we got here, the San Jose Sharks acquire Erik Karlsson from the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Josh Norris, Chris Tierney, Dylan DeMello, a first-round pick that became Tim Stützle, along with 2 second-round picks.
Do we know what those ended up getting moved to?
One of the second-round picks became Ostapchuk, who got traded to San Jose last season. It's part
Huge.
of the Zetterlund deal. The other second, I don't know.
That would be a fun trade tree.
It didn't show who on Hockey DB, so it cut it off. So
maybe they had to forfeit it for some reason. Maybe they didn't fill out all the paperwork on the trade.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Huge
I also believe that
when it
that second. I think that second was it was a conditional second that would have went up to a first. I'm pretty sure that was the condition that if San Jose traded Erik Karlsson back over to the East, because Ottawa was mad that San Jose acquired Hoffman from them and then immediately flipped them to Florida. So it was a first and 2 seconds, but the second bumped up to a first if San Jose just dumped Karlsson over to like Toronto or Tampa or something. And
more teams need to do that. Like, one that we might talk about in a second here, the Rantanen trade. The Avs should have put something like that on the Hurricanes.
Would have saved them from having to go up against them in the playoffs.
It wouldn't even have to be on the conference. They could have said in division and still got something back when the Dallas deal happened. Or maybe you block it and don't have to deal with them. Maybe they get further in the playoff. That stipulation might have won them the cup last year. Rantanen's not there. They don't get eliminated in the first. What? The Avs are... Most people have them the best team in the league right now. They could have gone on a run. So...
Yeah.
But all that said, the Erik Karlsson
where
trade.
Where are you ranking this one on the list here?
I mean, obviously, especially with the pick being unprotected and end up being Stützle, it's not great. The Sharks gave up a lot, and they went on a pretty nice run there. But did the Karlsson deal that happened after they went to the finals, right?
Yeah. That was the year they went and lost to the Blues in their first year with Karlsson. They lost to the Blues in the Western Conference Finals,
right? Which was a pretty decent run, but obviously they didn't even get to the finals, and they want to win the cup. He ended up, he won another Norris. He had 100 points in a season with the Sharks, but never any real true success, and ended up getting shipped over to Pittsburgh. We're talking about big trades.
Big trades.
I'm going to put this at 5.
It's a 5?
Is it crazy to say this was a lose-lose? Like, I know that they have Tim Stützle, but a lot of the other peripheral pieces didn't end up becoming a lot. And, like, Erik Karlsson, when he was in his prime, they wouldn't have traded him 1-for-1 for Stützle.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, probably would have just...
Yeah, I don't hate you putting this at 5. Absolutely,
So,
I don't mind it. No, fair enough. Next we got here, the Florida Panthers acquire Matthew Tkachuk from the Calgary Flames for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwindt, and a first-round pick.
Massive. Absolutely massive. This trade, it also just gets to live rent-free in my head a little bit because it's one of the only times, that really anything of consequence, but especially a huge trade like this, I was rather drunk when this trade broke, which made it extra fun because it was random off-season day, fucking whatever day, whatever month in summer. So I'm not expecting any hockey news at that point. And all of a sudden, all these massive pieces are moving around. And I thought people were gaslighting me for sure. And 115 point season, most points by a left winger in history in a single season. That guy's getting moved. And guess what? He's not the best player on the deal. At least not when you look at the deal, because there's only one guy going the other way. Tkachuk's going down. Yeah. They're also, on top of getting that insane winger, they're getting Mackenzie Weegar, who ends up being, for my money, their best defenseman for the next couple of years. At worst, they're 1B to Rasmus Andersson. And they get a first. And I think they got a prospect who I don't know if he really turned into much, but
I think he might be back in Florida actually now. Maybe he's Vegas now, one of the two. And on top of that, Matthew Tkachuk came with an 8-year extension signed going to Florida.
Yeah.
So
that was obviously they win 2 cups. Like, that's massive for them. People constantly point to this trade and they're like, this is, a fleecing by Florida. This is like one of the biggest win-win trades I can think of. Like, I get it. I get it that it didn't really work out for the Flames, but man, what a haul. For a guy like Tkachuk, Tkachuk should never have been valued at that level. I get that he's that good. 115 points from a winger. Huberdeau for Tkachuk 1-for-1, I easily could have seen. And you got an incredible defenseman, a guy that we've considered for the Four Nations and the Olympics at times,
Yeah.
and
And
a
the first
first
round pick.
rounder. Like,
Yeah.
that's so much value. I get that the Huberdeau extension that ended up taking place, he fell off. It has not been all sunshine and rainbows for Calgary, but how could you predict that? Like, you'd need a
Yeah.
crystal ball. Like, I never would have guessed that. I thought everyone in our family who's a Flames fan would own a Huberdeau jersey within the year. And it hasn't quite worked out for him, but they still got Uyghur. He's been great for him. They still got Huberdeau, who, despite the contract, has been good for the team. And he's kind of been improving over the last 2 years as well. He's picking it back up.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's a trade that would go above this. I've
There's
already
you
got
got
the
1,
3
2,
and
and 4
5.
open.
Is there a trade that goes above this?
It's the fun part of a blind ranking. 1, 2, or
I
4, right? You place in the deal.
I really feel like there's another one that should be above it, but I can't remember which one it is.
Could be. I can't confirm nor deny
I'm
because
gonna
I don't know.
I mean, this might screw up the ranking, but that's the fun of it. I'm gonna put it at number 2.
Number 2. Alrighty. I can.
I really feel like there's another one that I've thought of before that I'm just not remembering.
Okay. The fourth trade we got on the list here. The Colorado Avalanche acquire Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a second and a fourth for Mikko Rantanen, going to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Huge.
And this does not include Rantanen going to Dallas.
Okay.
That's a totally different
You know what?
deal.
That actually helps.
It's not all included as part of. That wasn't all one deal at the same time. It's two separate deals over a month apart.
That actually does help my placing because huge deal, very almost equally shocking as the last one we talked about because there was maybe a couple of rumors about Rantanen getting traded. Or they might think about it. Nobody knew they were even talking about it yet. And yeah, I had no idea they were going to do it. Marty Necas came back. He's been great with the Avs. They ended up having to move Rantanen, so Carolina doesn't get to keep him. So yeah, I got to put this at number 4. It's not bigger than the
Number
2
4.
above it. It was a massive trade, but we haven't seen any huge success out of it. And it also gets a little bit lower of a grade because it doesn't include the Dallas part, because the trade obviously has been very good for Dallas, especially with the big extension.
It really worked out well for all three teams in the end.
Which is kind of crazy considering the sheer level of players being moved.
Like the chaos it caused for
a team
like
losing
a month and a half
Rantanen
span.
ended up getting better. A team losing Necas ended up, getting better. And better for the future. I mean, the Stars have Rantanen.
Yeah,
And they didn't have to give up a Marty Necas. So
yeah. So the list you got here, so you got the Matt Tkachuk trade at 2, the Jack Eichel trade at 3, the Necas Rantanen swap at 4, and Erik Karlsson to San Jose at 5. You normally don't leave the number 1 spot open, but you did.
I like that order
this time. We'll see how you feel here at the end. Kind of fitting you have this one going at the number 1 spot because this trade was 1-for-1. The Nashville Predators acquiring PK Subban from the Montreal Canadiens for Shea Weber.
I was wondering if this might be the other one. This is the one I had in mind when you were introducing it, and you said, I've got some trades from the last, and I finished the sentence of the last 10 years, because I figured that one was about 10 years ago. I thought potentially, I mean, he was kind of already, he was already going to free agency. I thought the Marner one might be here. I thought you might be cute about it, and you think, oh, maybe the Quinn Hughes trade isn't here, and then put in at the end. The Quinn Hughes trade, I would not have minded at number 1. Probably put it number 2, maybe 3, but it's a huge deal.
To be honest,
Yeah, obviously PK Subban and Shea Weber 1-for-1 at number 1.
I don't hate this one at number 1 for the sole fact that both teams went to the Cup Finals with the player they acquired.
Yeah,
Nashville
and
got to the Cup
neither
Final
team
with
had
PK
been.
Subban, and Montreal wouldn't have made it without Shea Weber kind of team up with Carey Price to help wheel that team there. So,
And those were two teams that were banging their heads against the playoffs. They couldn't get through, and they made that trade, and both teams eventually both got a finals appearance. It's too bad that neither of them won, but yeah. And that's still a crazy deal. No wonder people still talk about it. Just star defenseman for star defenseman, 1-for-1.
just out of nowhere. Like, yeah, you just don't see stuff like that happen anymore. Whenever deals happen, big deals, it's always got to be like a couple extra moving pieces. Like, you never just see a raw, straight up 1-for-1 big deal.
Like, could you imagine if last season it was Marner Rantanen 1-for-1?
Like, that would have been sick.
They don't.
Would have been sick.
Marner doesn't like where he is. Rantanen maybe wants to get paid a little more than Colorado offered or something. Like, that would have been that would have been cool to see.
Sick. Absolutely.
And the games between those teams, that's got to be electric.
Yeah. So your final list here at number 1, you got the 1-for-1 swap, Subban for Weber. Number 2, the Matthew Tkachuk trade. 3, the Jack Eichel trade. 4, the Martin Necas trade, and then 5, the Erik Karlsson trade. Overall, I think that you actually put together a pretty good list.
I like it.
For those who played along at home, if you want, you can also let us know through any of the socials or in the comments on YouTube or the comments on any of the podcast platforms where you can find it across all platforms. Let us know what your final blind ranking list looks like if you joined along for it. But we are at that time now where we are at the end of the episode. A little bit of a longer one to kickstart the week here. But you know what? It was kind of a crazy weekend. A lot of stuff happening, lots of pieces moving. So, hey, you know what? You got a little longer episode today. You got a little extra, more time listening to us. But it is that time we're going to start wrapping it up here. So, Braden, as always, your favorite time, everybody at home's favorite time, I must ask you, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I am going to vamp a little bit to stall for time, but I believe Sidney Crosby, because I feel like bringing him up every once in a while, he is 2 points back of Mario Lemieux for all-time scoring leader for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So keep an eye out for Sid the Kid. You see a Penguins game on, check it out. You might see a couple points and you might see a huge celebration. That's going to be a bench. That's one of those ones where it's bench clearing. That's big enough. They probably don't roll out a carpet during the game because it's just the franchise one. If it's a home game, honestly,
I don't.
I've seen
Sid
crazier celebrations.
Crosby wouldn't want it.
No, but I don't know if it'd be up to him either. I think they'd be like, "You deserve it, and you're getting this celebration." Either way,
I could.
The bench
Crosby
would definitely
sitting on the bench and just refusing to be a part of it.
Crosby,
I don't know if he would, but I could see it. Like, Crosby's not all about himself. He's
not about himself, but if they take the time to do it, he's not gonna. The fans are gonna want to see him go out there. He's not gonna sit there. And
I feel like it's probably something they discuss them of like, what do you want to do anything for it? And he'll probably just be like, yeah, if the boys want to come on the ice and celebrate the goal right out, not sure, but probably.
I'd love to know how much they ask these players about those, but definitely once he breaks that record, the next home game gonna have a big celebration. Before the game happens, they're probably gonna give him
like I could
the
see
keys to a Hyundai and a flat screen and a diamond gold.
Yeah, like I could see a ceremony the following game or something, like the following home game afterwards, kind of a ceremony beforehand.
They will have one there. It just depends on if they have one on the ice. I doubt they do, but
I doubt
Crosby's one of those guys that if they want to do something for him, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, we all love Crosby. But that is it for this episode 1 Fun Time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we'll see all of you beautiful people out on the ice later this week.